Hey guys, Bryce here from Code Life. Just want to do a quick tutorial today on React. So I've been a long time user of Angular, long time, back in the early Angular 1 days. But now Angular 2 and now 4 are out. So, but I haven't done a ton of React. So I want to jump into React, and I think a good way to kick it off would be to do a little to-do list, right? Like, so that's like the first thing you usually are going to work on. You build something new, the hello world, and then the to-do app. So let's go ahead and I'll show you what I have so far. Here we go. So I built this little to-do app where we can punch in a new to-do. We'll say, learn more JavaScript. And you can click submit. We'll add it to your list. We didn't capitalize JavaScript, so we can remove it. Learn more JavaScript. There we go. Perfect. You can remove these, so you have none. Add another one. New to do. Perfect. So that's what we're going to be creating today. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you go on over, go to GitHub, and you can just search for Create React App. And you'll see there are instructions down here in the README. So you can go to npm install, or you can run npm install -g for global, create React app. So let's go ahead. I already did that, but just so you can see. Boom, installed. Perfect. So now we can run this command here, which will actually change it. Call it to-dos app. So create React app, to-dos app. Bam. So that'll go ahead and generate a new directory for us with all the code. So it's basically like a pre-modified or pre-configured version of React. Instead of building your own, configuring Webpack and all this other stuff, build tools, it's already set up, no configuration required. So it's pretty awesome. Use a similar thing in Angular CLI, which is really easy to spin up new little projects I'm working on. So this will go ahead and install. While it's doing that, we'll take a look at this. So we'll just cd into our application, and then we run npm start, and that'll launch our app and get it up and running. And that's about all you need to know. There's a few other requirements, like you'll need node greater than or equal to 6 on your machine. So if you don't know how to do that, just a quick Google will show you. That way you can get npm installed. So this tutorial is a little more advanced. Users already have some of the stuff set up. I've been doing a lot of more basic tutorials, HTML, CSS, for people who are kind of new to this. But hopefully this will be some good information. Perfect. So it finishes. It tells you all the stuff you can do. npm start, starts a dev server, bundles the app with npm run build. That would be if you're going to production. You can do run your tests. And then I think this would do like a more custom build here. If you want to go kind of a little off the grid, but your own custom configuration. Then, so we'll go ahead and cd into our app. To-dos app. Perfect. And if we run npm start, I'll start my other one here. npm start. Should have a fresh project here. Perfect. Welcome to React. So this is what you get when you first start up. Nothing crazy. Pretty cool. The spinning React emblem there. So, and it gives you instructions. If it didn't auto launch, but you just go to localhost 3000 on your network. You can reach it from another computer or whatever. Pretty cool. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in here. Let's put this. Let's put that here. Let's see. Alright, and now we'll go ahead and open Atom. So to see the basic folder structure here, we have app.js. This is where the root is kind of loading from. You can see the welcome to React text is here, all that good stuff. So let's see, let's go ahead and let's gut some of this here. Let's just do that. We'll save. Should live reload. It's nothing. Because we have nothing there. Logo's defined but never used. Don't need logo anymore. Get rid of that. Let's create a wrapper that goes around this. So div class name equals to do wrapper. We'll put stuff in there. Yeah, you should see that show up. Perfect. Hello. Right in the middle. So let's go ahead and add some styling to this. So you see you have the app CSS. It's being imported here. App CSS. So we go there. We got a bunch of stuff. But I'm going to kind of speed this up. I'll copy in some of the styles that kind of pre-made here. And boom. So now we got like a little shell that goes around. Perfect. So just added a width, some border, padding, all the good stuff, min height. So let's close that out. And now I want to create our components. So let's, just for simplicity's sake, we'll just create a header component just so we can get the swing of things here. So let's make a new folder here. We'll call it components, so we can kind of keep our stuff a little organized. A new file, and we'll call this header.js. And in header.js, so new component, we want to import React from React. And since we only have one thing in here, we're going to go ahead and export default. It's the default time we're going to export. Class, say header, and we want to extend from React.component. And we'll call the render function, which tells what we actually want to return back. And let's just do an h1 tag, call it React to-dos. So it's kind of pointless. It's just all we're rendering is this single tag, but just so you can see kind of how this would work. If we go to app.js, and here instead of hello, we want to render the header, and it's always capitalized there. So import. Let's see. Import header from, so this current directory, components directory / header. And from require render. So with this error, should have a return statement. All right. Oh, there we go. So we want to return return function here. There we go. Boom. React to-dos. Our h1 tag is now rendering in the title. Perfect. So let's go on, just for good measure. So the next thing we probably want to do is probably want to look at, let's see, probably need an input, right? Let's do that. So we need another component. Let's call it to do input.js. Now this one will be pretty much the same. We'll go import React capital from React, and we're going to also want a CSS file for this one, but I'll include that in a second here. So we'll go export default like we did before, class to do input extends React component. See the pattern here? Let's do a constructor on this one. So this is the part that loads kind of right when it's built. Calls this function, constructor function. We want to pass in the props, the properties. And you always call super to the parent because we're extending from React component. So pass props along. And let's see. Also need, so we got to return something, right? So we want to render return like we did before, and you got to wrap it in a containing tag. So let's put a div for our outer tag here. It appears to be a React thing where it has to have some kind of wrapper element. You can't just have like a single element here because we're going to put an input. So if we go input type equals text, value empty string, and let's see, we'll add a function we call onChange. So every time we enter input, we want to call a function. So let's say this dot handle change. It's self-closing. Then let's put a button that will actually trigger this. Say class name instead of class because it's JSX. Say btn primary class name. Let's see. Then on click, you want to do something. Let's see. Give it a function here, and say this dot. Say add to do. Add to do. Which we're gonna have to pass state to probably. This dot state dot. Say values what we're gonna punch in. Submit. All right, that's a little long. That's okay. So we had defined here. We defined two functions, right? So we have this on chain or handle change, and then we have the add to do. So here we're going to want to bind them when this fires up. So we'll say this dot handle change equals this dot handle change bind this. We'll do the same for the add to do. So this dot add to do, this dot state value. What am I doing here? Add to do equals this dot add to do dot bind this. Perfect. So now that they're bound, we can actually create these functions. Handle change. Let's see. So taking an event, probably coming in. Then just console log for the time being. change here. And then we have add to do, which we want to add, passing in the value, the setState.value. So passing in the to do, console log to do. Great. So we also need state, right? So in the constructor here, we can say this dot state equals. So we're just going to set it here. So you'll notice, like, a lot of people use this dot set state. The set state actually will trigger. Apparently, it triggers the re-render. So we don't need that in the constructor because it hasn't rendered yet. So we can just directly set the value here. Let's say, let's do that for now. I think that'll work. Yeah, that looks good. I think that'll work. All right, so we have that. So now if we go back to app, now let's include it. To do input, self-closing. So obviously we're getting there because we haven't imported it yet. For to do input from components / to do input. Perfect. So we have a little styling here. Let's see. Let's see. Let's close the header. So I have some styles I created here for the to do input. I'm not going to bore you with CSS here. So let me go ahead and just create to do input.css. So paste our styles, and then we're going to import them into our to do input. Import do input.css. And bam, Insta style. So normally you'd have to work on that a little bit, but we already did it ahead of time, so save us a little time here. Perfect. So if we inspect, type some text, see a change here, submit, let's see the events firing. Perfect. So those are working. Those are calling the proper functions here. What we're going to actually do, let's see. So it's actually, so when we added to do, we actually needed to go up a level. So even though we're typing it in here, that's great. But we want to manage the state of the application one level, like kind of the highest level possible. So they have libraries that do this called like Alt, Flux, Redux, and there's a bunch of others. One that seems to be the most popular is Redux, but it'll help you manage the state of all these different moving pieces, right? So let's go back to app.js here, and we'll start managing state. So in our to-do input, we want to pass, let's see, to-do text. We're going to tell it it's going to be equal to an empty string. So this is a prop, or a property that's going to pass to-do text, so we can access that within the component. So props you don't want to change. They get passed out from the parent to the child element. And the child element doesn't change props. It only changes state. So state is internal to the component. Props are external, so you don't change them. That's kind of the rule of thumb. And then we probably need the function to actually add the to-do. Come up to this app here. So we'll say add to-do equals, say this dot add to-do. Perfect. I think that'll work. Should be able to do that. I want a constructor in here. Will help manage some of this stuff. So constructor. Props. It's not going to have any, but just put it there. Good measure. Super.props. And say, let's add some to-dos, because this is where we're going to manage our state, right? So this dot to-dos, assuming this dot state equals, and then let's say to-dos, which will be an array. Which will have a text property. So let's give each one an ID. So ID 0, text, make dinner tonight. We'll go ID 1, text will be fold the laundry. And for our final one, ID 2, text, oops, it's sloppy here. Learn to make a React app. Perfect. So we have some to-dos. Here we'll want to maintain what the next ID is. So since we already have 0, 1, 2, the next ID would be 3. So you'll see when this comes into play here shortly. It should be good. Perfect. All right. So then we also will have a function called add to do. So this dot add to do equals this dot add to do dot bind this. So that way we can keep the context of the reference of this as the function gets passed around. And this dot remove to do. So we'll need that eventually. This dot remove to do dot bind this. So let's add those two functions. This add to do text and to do added. Just log that for now. Same with remove to do. What do I do? We want to do based on the ID that's passed. Log removing ID. Perfect. Looking good. So now in our to-do input, you see we're passing to-do text as a property, add to-do, which we're passing the function add to-do, which we bound to this context of this application. So now if we go down to to-do input, on to-do input, let's see, so we have some props coming in. some add to do. I actually want to call this.props.add to do. And we'll pass it the to do. Perfect. Oh, probably want to make sure that you can't enter in empty text beforehand, right? So ensure the to-do text isn't empty. We'll say if to-do.length is greater than 0, then we want to actually enter something in here. Then we'll actually want to zero out the value. So say this dot set state, so I want to update the same value equals not that. Perfect. So on change, so the text isn't doing anything right now. We type, click, nothing's being passed other than this right here, the test. So it's kind of pointless. So on change, we actually want to get the text value out of here, which we can access. This is the event, so we can call event.target.value. So we want to this.set state value e.target.value. And as we're typing, we submit to do added F. Let's see if we can type it. Let's zoom out too much. Let's see. Let's figure this out real quick. Okay, I think I figured out what's going on. So the value is being set to empty string when really we want this.state.value. I want that to render there. So as I type, when I submit, see the value there, and it was cleared out of the input box. Perfect. All right, now we're on a roll. So now that we have the text actually being entered, we need to actually make it show right here, right? We don't want it to disappear every time into the ether. So let's add another component back here, which will be to-do item. So we want to do an unordered list of all our to-do items. So UL let's see, and then in there, we want to call this.state.todos, and for each to-do, we're going to map the to-do, and we will return on that map, we'll say a to-do item, which we're going to create, and the to-do property we're going to pass in, which will be to-do. And then you need a key, which is a unique key, that has to be assigned to each to-do. So this was kind of a tricky part, not a tricky part, but it was throwing a couple errors when I was doing this before. And React requires when you iterate over and render a bunch of these components that each one has a unique key or identifier. Which if you're pulling from a database, like each one is going to have a unique identifier. But since this is a toy app, you'll notice that's why I had the ID set here. So now we can actually keep track of the IDs. And this next ID is kind of just a pointer, or excuse me, not a pointer, a counter for us. So we use the todo.id for that portion. And then we also have to specify the ID because you can't access the key. I'm not sure why, but you can't. So pass it here, so we can actually access this ID prop because this is one we created. Key is just something that's mandatory by React. And then when we remove a to-do, we want to pass the reference to this remove to-do function. Perfect. All right, so that should probably throw an error. You actually need this component here. It's a new file, and we'll call it to-do item.js. And for to-do item, pretty simple here. Import React from React. We have them. Then we want to import. We'll import some style sheet. We're going to create here to-do item.css and export default, just like we did before. Class to-do item extends React.component. So no new magic there. Constructor props super. We pass props to that. Still no magic. Probably don't need this constructor because we're not going to really do much with it, but I'll just leave it there for now. So we're going to need a remove type. Remove to do, which takes an ID, and this dot props dot remove to do ID. Perfect. So remember we had a function that was passed in, the remove to do props from here. Where is it? There it is. So on each to do item component, we're passing in the property of the remove to do, which is linked to this guy right here. So we actually passed it down, and we're going to access it by calling our own internal remove to do. And we'll call this .props. Keep it organized here. And we want to render, return, and we'll wrap this in a div. Say class name equals to do. Call it to do wrapper. And let's create a button here. Call it remove to do. On click of our to do, event, pass you this dot remove to do, and this dot props dot ID. Say remove as the text slash button. There we go. So we got some warnings previously here. So components, new file, and we want to call this to-do item.css. I'm just going to copy over the styles I have previously. Save you the pain. Closing tag for UL. Let's see, are we missing something here? Yep. Figured as much. /UL. And to-do item is not defined, so we didn't import it in here. Perfect. Okay, easy enough. It's pretty nice. It gives you those little error messages so you can figure out exactly what's going on. Do item from /to-do item. Let's see if that fixes our problems here. Perfect. So you can see we're rendering our 3 to-dos, but we don't actually have the to-do text. That's a problem. Let's figure out what's going on here. Why do we not have our to-do text? Let me take a quick look and see what we got. Alright, so I know why. Let's see, let's go to to-do item. And we have the remove button, but we forgot to actually add the text in here. So we actually need to render the text that was passed in. Let's see. This.props. So access the properties that were passed in. We passed in the to-do. Remember from app.js. Let's access the text. Boom. There it is. That's what I'm talking about. So that's looking pretty good. And if we type in some text, we submit, our to-do is added, and then we can remove 0 and 1. So it's keeping track of all the indexes, or not indexes, but the IDs of each one, which we would remove. So now we just need to add the code to actually add and remove. So go back. So we just kind of have these guys. They're getting triggered. They're not actually doing anything just yet. So we need to actually wire those up. So in our add to do, let's get rid of that. And we'll say let to-dos equal this.state.todos.slice. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the current state of the to-dos, so all these guys currently, or whatever else gets added in there, and we're going to copy it to a local variable here because we don't actually want to modify the state till we're ready, and we don't do it all in one, full shot. It's more of kind of a functional thing where you don't directly modify the state. So we don't want to add one to-do onto the list. We actually want to replace the whole to-do list on the entire thing at a time. It might seem strange if you're new to like functional programming, but it's a good practice where you can makes it really easy for testing purposes later, because then you can show like, oh, I just put this, and then I can test against on one thing. So you got like, we call them pure functions. One item, you take something in, something comes out. So if we're just modifying state, you get these weird states where like, where was the state when you currently modified it? We don't know, but we could test I know if I pass this to-do in, and out comes this list, like, hopefully that makes sense. Probably not. Probably make a video on functional programming. We can get into that someday, but just trust me for now. So we have our local to-dos. We've made a deep copy of it by actually physically slicing off the items. And then we're going to go to-dos.push. So onto our local variable, we actually want to push. So ID equals this.state.next ID. So that's the next ID of the list. And text will be to-do text, which we passed in. Perfect. And now here's the magic. This.setState. So we're going to actually update our state. And we're going to pass in everything it needs. So to-dos will be our local to-dos that we created. And then next ID, we want to increment. So this.state.next ID. So I kind of break my rule here by just updating state ID, but well, no, I guess technically not. So we grabbed it and we're modifying it, but it didn't actually increment this variable. It's just saying this plus 1. And then we're setting state all at once. Fell swoop, whole new state is getting replaced. So we're still good. That'll work. So now, let's try this puppy out. Boom. Perfect. But still need to remove them. You can see the IDs there when I click on this one. Number 4. So it's incrementing the ID. everything's working there. So let's actually remove the to-dos now. And we'll say this dot set state. We'll say to-dos. Use some fancy magic here. This dot state dot to-dos dot filter to-do index. So we're going to use this filter function built in JavaScript here. Well, actually, only ones that match this criteria will get returned back, and so you'll get a whole new list here returned, new array returned. To-do.id. So we're not actually modifying the array of to-dos, but we're just returning a new function based off those current to-dos. So if the to-do ID does not match the ID, then it gets returned back. So for each one, we're going to go through and say, if we're trying to remove, we'll say ID, to-do ID number 2. So we can go through, look at the first one, 0, we'll say nope, you don't match. You get to go back into this new array. Number 1, you don't match. Number 2, you do match. So you get filtered out. Number 3 matches. Number 4 matches. So then we have a new array without the old number 2 in there. So that will work out perfectly. So let's see. Test this out. Oh yeah. All right. So we're adding to-dos, and they're getting removed. So I think that's about it. I don't think of anything else. It seems to be working fine. Yeah, so here's our working app. Do the laundry. And we can submit. Do my homework. Perfect. And we can remove them. Perfect. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was a super fast creating a React to-do list mini application. Lots of little things in there that are probably new if you're new to JavaScript and or React. But hopefully it all made sense. If not, please ask any questions in the comments. Please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. If there's anything else you guys like to see, please let me know. I tried to make something that was a little more interesting for some of the more advanced developers who are familiar with JavaScript already and wanting to learn React. So hopefully this was kind of a good intro for you. But definitely, if there's anything else you guys like to see, please let me know, and I'll make some more tutorials. All right, take care, guys. See you later.